Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about The Sandman on Netflix. Now, I haven't reviewed any of these series on these streaming services that release all at once. And the reason for that is because I'd rather give my thoughts on the show sooner rather than later, and I know it would take me a number of days, if not a week or more, to watch, 8 to 10 episodes. In this case, I think it's 10. So that automatically means giving my review based on less than the entire first season. Also, not everybody's going to watch at the same pace. So, if I were to do a review of the first 3 episodes, well, maybe somebody's only seen 2 and they don't want to watch the video because it's got 3 episodes in it. And so I figure I'm safe doing just the first episode, because then people who've watched at least that much, which should be everybody who's watching it at all, will be able to watch the video and not have anything spoiled for them. And I can get my thoughts out about the series up to that point, the parts of it that are shown in the first episode, and not be behind the 8 ball. So here we are. I'm giving my review of the premiere episode of The Sandman. I may or may not come back and do breakdowns and reviews of future episodes until I see the finale, at which point I'll probably renew the finale. So time will tell what happens there. For now, I want to give you my thoughts on the first episode after a little bit of a breakdown. So before I do that, though, let me say that I have no knowledge of this character from the comic books or graphic novels or anything. I've not read The Sandman at all. I don't know anything about it, prior to watching the show anyway. So anything that I know about it comes from the show. I don't know what's accurate, what isn't accurate in terms of what matches up with the source material. I've only looked up 1 or 2 things since I started watching it for a little bit more understanding, but that is the breadth of my knowledge, this show and what I've looked up since I started watching it. So anyway, the first episode was called The Sleep of the Just, and it started with a very lush opening, just graphically and with imagery. And there was an expository narrative by the Sandman, aka Dream, aka Lord Morpheus, who is Lord of both dreams and nightmares, and who is apparently leaving the realm of dreams to chase down a rogue nightmare, a nightmare that's in the human world and running around doing things that he shouldn't be doing. After the opening, we join a Dr. Hathaway in 1916 England as he visits a man named Roderick Burgess, who goes by Lord Magus, and who runs an order called the Order of the Ancient Mysteries, which, with the help of a grimoire brought to him by Hathaway, aims to capture the Angel of Death and force it to return Burgess' recent war-dead son to the living. When he and the Order perform the ritual, he instead summons and binds Dream, who at the prior moment had been in Berlin, Germany, about to recapture the rogue nightmare Corinthian, who apparently has been, as I said, going around the world of the living, and in his case, killing mortals, which is apparently a no-no. With Dream held captive, some people who had been sleeping and dreaming at the time that he was captured were unable to wake up the next morning, nearly 1 million people the world over. Speaking of the next morning, the rogue nightmare in question, again Corinthian, shows up at the Magus' house, offering to help him with Dream, who he calls one of the Endless. He explains that Dream's helmet, sand, and jewelry can give the Magus a certain level of Dream's powers, but that he can never escape if that's going to continue. And it's going to take more than just a simple binding circle, which is the only thing that was holding him at the moment. He further explains that no one can fall asleep in Dream's presence or he'll escape into their dreams. The Magus confronts Dream and makes his demand for the return of his son, offering to let him go in exchange, but Dream won't even speak to him. We cut to 10 years later, during which Dream was still in captivity, and the Magus profited greatly from the use of his items, all while masses of people still experienced problems from not being able to wake up, or not being able to go to sleep, or suffering from continuous sleepwalking. The Magus soon catches his younger son, speaking to Dream, pleading his father's case and saying he'd let him out if he could, before being caught by his father, who was rather unhappy about what he saw. The son, whose name is Alex, is then sent out to shoot Dream's raven, Jessamy, who has been hanging around the Magus' mansion for 10 years, I guess trying to help Dream or what have you. He manages to kill it, but not before it flew in and grabbed a match off a table and managed to light it and then drop it on a chair, starting a fire, which apparently gets put out. And also visiting Dream, who witnesses him being shot and killed. When the Magus's girlfriend or concubine or whatever turns up pregnant and is asked to terminate the pregnancy, she instead takes off with the Magus's fortune and all of Dream's items, apparently with the help of Alex. When the Magus angrily confronts Dream and demands that he help him retrieve the stuff, his son tries to stop him, and upon them arguing, the son accidentally kills him, though not before he announces to Dream that he's never going to get out in his last moment. We then jump time to 9 months later, and the girlfriend's baby is born. And then we jump yet again several decades to when the son is an old man in 2016. And Dream is still in captivity 100 years later. Even though before the time jump, the son offered to let him out if only he promised not to harm himself and his friend Paul, which he declined to do. One of the men guarding Dream then does in fact fall asleep after the binding circle is accidentally broken by the son's wheelchair, and Dream escapes into the guard's dream, which allows him to control the guard and force him to shoot the, I guess, glass or magically infused glass ball that he was encased in, and he escapes. We then enter Alex's dream, in which he's young again and is confronted by Dream, who puts him in eternal sleep before returning to the dream realm, finding it ravaged by decay, and according to his royal librarian, Lucien, abandoned by many of the residents and palace staff. Dream then vows to rebuild the realm and bring back all the nightmares and dreams that are now running wild in the world of the living. And that's where the episode ends. I had no idea what to expect from the show. As I said, I'm not familiar at all with the source material. And, you know, sometimes shows are good and sometimes shows are bad. And it happens a lot, especially with genre shows, especially things that are adapted from, you know, source material other than that created by the producers or show writers. So I'm happy to report that this show is excellent in my view. It's very well acted. It's very well written. The imagery is crazy cool. The mythos that surrounds these characters is well woven, it seems to me, and very intriguing. You know, it paints a picture that allows you to look at the world a little differently than you normally would. We don't normally look at the world as a place where, you know, there's such a thing as a dream realm and where there's a Lord of Dream who controls all of that. And so that's a new sort of concept to me anyway, and I think it's cool. I thought it was cool that they depict him being held captive over a period of 100 years, you know, by various time jumps. And, you know, you get to see what's going on in different periods, and you realize that, yeah, he was there a long time. They didn't do it so quickly that it didn't feel like 100 years, but they also didn't linger and linger and linger, so it felt like 100 years. But by the time the 100 years has passed, it's been 100 years, and you really can just feel it in the story, you know, that the world has, the time has gone by while he was there, especially when he gets back to the dream realm and it's all like decayed and stuff. So I thought that was cool. It just gave it a very, it gave it dramatic heft, you know, because while we didn't feel the passage of 100 years, he did. And not only did he, but his realm did, his people did. So I just thought it was really cool. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I especially am psyched that Jenna Coleman is in this show as Joanna Constantine, who they call Constantine, apparently, which is annoying. But yeah, I think this is a great show, and I may be back with more thoughts on the episodes. But if you're not watching it, I recommend that you do. It's really very good. So there you go. I'm going to get out of here. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.